$2,000 full stimulus check update specifically focused on the low-income and fixed-income beneficiaries of Social Security, including retirement disability, SSDI survivors, SSI, VA, and RB. I have all the details and what you need to know, so let's get into it. In fact, a lot of lawmakers, over 80 lawmakers, wrote letters and sent them over to the president saying, hey, we need a $2,000 check. For quite a while there, we were getting a few updates on ongoing checks, either monthly checks, a one-time $1,400 check. So for a very long period of time, we saw some updates every so often. There was some new information coming out and a few things as far as lawmakers talking about it, some remarks on different high-profile people. There were some things here and there, but that was kind of a slow time, right? There wasn't a whole lot being said. There were a few updates here and there, but now things have changed in kind of a big way. That is the $2,000 full stimulus check petition over on change.org. Are people still signing this thing? You better believe it? Yeah, they are still signing this thing. You know, this petition was signed up over 2 years ago, and there are still tons of people signing this thing on a regular basis. As of right now, it has almost 3,050,000 signatures. So for a while, we've been living with this rapidly rising inflation. And realistically, with everything going on right now, it does not look like it's going to be slowing down anytime soon. Well, that's not exactly what we want to hear right now, according to the analysts and experts with this rapidly rising inflation. And again, what we've been witnessing in our own personal life. And of course, with all of the economic announcements that have been coming out over the last several months, we continue to get all of these increased reports on inflation. The analysts and experts are also watching this and suggesting that this is likely going to continue for a very long time going into the future. While at the same time, we're also watching the house of cards crumble right before our very eyes as far as the economy, what the Federal Reserve is doing with interest rates, the stock market, the real estate market, the crypto market, all of these different things that are highly correlated, because any collapse in any of these is likely going to take down everything else at the same time. Here is what else is interesting as we continue to watch this whole house of cards crumble right in front of us. It's all of this is being predicted. And all of this is basically happening because of this rapidly rising inflation. About a year ago, the Federal Reserve and the Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen were out last year saying all this inflation is transitory. Well, it turns out that it's not transitory, not even close, and they probably knew that the whole time. Now, we are here a year later, and it's still going very, very hard. This kind of consequence of that rapid rising inflation is that everything kind of collapses right before our eyes. As we continue moving forward, the more that things fall on top of each other, as far as more as this house of cards collapses, the likelihood of ongoing checks like this, either a one-time check or sometimes of ongoing monthly payments, continue to increase more and more. Back in 2001, we got through mid-August stimulus checks as individuals because of the current recession. If we fast forward up to 2008, we got $600 stimulus checks once again because of the recession in 2008. In 2020, we got $1,200 stimulus checks because of the recession in early 2020. All of those numbers that I lay out $300, $600, $1,200. Do you see a trend? They continue doubling every single time. So as of right now, when it comes down to a fourth stimulus check, many of us are wondering, is there going to be a $2,000 stimulus check? At this point, the first thing we need to wonder is how prolonged is this recession going to be? How deep is it going to be? How hard hitting is it going to be? How far is it going to impact the people? Is it going to be global? Is it going to be isolated here in the United States? There are a lot of different issues that we need to focus on the burden with the current environment and everything that we are watching right now. And this is likely going to lead to more checks being distributed, just like what we saw with the last 3 recessions. Why would this one be any different? It's not going to be all the same things happen every single time. Looking back in history over the last 21 years, you can see the same process play out every single time with a recession. They print money and they send it out to the people in the form of stimulus checks. As we saw in May of 2009, there was a $250 focus to check for the fixed income beneficiaries. Now, I could foresee another focus check going out to the fixed income beneficiaries. However, I don't foresee it being $2,000. I foresee it being something more like $1,000 or maybe $1,200, possibly $1,400. Something along those lines. However, when it comes down to another recession, like a deep recession, a prolonged recession, something like this, where we are seeing really deep economic contraction, then we are likely going to see widespread stimulus checks for everybody in that case. In that situation, they could be $2,000 once again because they could need to send out tons of money to get this economy pumped back up and bring it back to life after basically collapsing onto itself. Depending on how this whole thing plays out is going to determine also how much money they decide to print out, how much money they decide to send out in the form of stimulus checks. What is going to be when it's distributed things like this. Here is not a forced demonstration that has been approved. A fourth stimulus check has not been approved, but the more that we move into the future and the more that we see all of this stuff happening right now and the evidence and all of the information continue to pile up day after day after day, with all of this piling up, the evidence is getting very high when it comes down to another stimulus check for the people. But as of right now, nothing has been approved button. When we see this thing get full swing here, you're gonna see all the lawmakers and all kinds of people scrambling to figure out what we can do. What can we do when the economy is collapsing? Well, they know what to do. Get money out to the people and have them spend it. And that's how you stimulate the economy back into where it's supposed to be. So one more time, as of right now, a fourth stimulus check has not been approved. But again, this is something we got to watch going forward, because as this thing continues to unfold, we're gonna watch them scramble. It's gonna be like a big old ant farm where all these people in Congress will be scrambling around trying to figure out something to do, as if they don't know what to do going forward, which is pretty obvious what they need to do. Anyway, hope this one helps you out. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you again later in the next video.